Welcome students again to the online lecture series of Aryabhatta Junior College. So before this video we have already discussed about the introduction, then general methods of preparation and physical properties related to haloalkanes and haloarenes. In today's or in this video lecture we will start our next part and the main important part from this chapter, the chemical behavior related to haloalkanes and haloarenes. So chemical property or chemical behavior means how haloalkanes and haloalkanes reacts with other reagents. So we will not cover all the reactions of haloalkane and haloarenes. We have few important reactions given in our syllabus. We will cover those reactions. Especially we will check how we can convert haloalkanes to other important organic compounds like alkanes or alcohols, acids, etc. So basically haloalkanes and haloarenes undergoes all the three types of reactions. That means substitution, elimination and haloarenes undergo electrophilic substitution. Okay, so we will discuss nucleophilic substitution, elimination and electrophilic substitution. So we will start with nucleophilic substitution. Okay, so what is nucleophilic substitution? So what happens in alkyl halide? A nucleophile will attack alkyl halide or haloalkane. The nucleophile will replace the halogen part. Okay, halogen will leave and nucleophile will be added to the molecule. So what is happening? Nucleophile is substituting the halogen. That's why we call it a nucleophilic substitution. Okay. Oh, I have some spelling error here. Substitution. Okay. So this is the basic reaction. And why we have a basic reaction? Because if you go through table 10.4 in your NCERT book, you will see there are lots of reagent. Okay, that means this reaction is a general reaction. Again like I taught you in general method of preparation, I taught you with the general reactions like this, that RX and ROH, and when it reacts with HCl, we get RCl. Okay, so this is a general reaction. You can change R according to your choice. You can change the molecule. Similarly, here we can change the molecule, even we can change the nucleophile and halogen also. Okay. So what are the possible nucleophiles? Okay, so there are lots of possible nucleophiles. Suppose we have to what we have to know? We have to know that for a particular reagent, what is the nucleophile which will get added. So I will give you few examples. Suppose if we take KOH aqueous solution as a reagent, then we will have OH as our nucleophile. So what will happen when CH3, suppose chlorine, I have taken chlorine, reacts with KOH aqueous solution, we get the chlorine will be replaced by OH. Okay, the rest of the alkyl halide part will remains same. So CH3, OH and chlorine will be replaced. Okay, so chlorine will get replaced. So this is the basic idea about nucleophilic substitution. Instead of KOH, instead of OH, if you suppose take cyanide, that means potassium cyanide, what will happen? You will get cyanide here. Nothing changes, only the nucleophile gets changed. That means on the basis of your reagent you can determine which nucleophile to use. Okay, and table 10.4 lists all the reagent and related nucleophiles and the product also. So if you go through table 10.4 carefully, you will get idea about all the related reagents. Okay, so please go through them carefully. Most of the time in our exams, the questions are being asked from KOH, that means potassium hydroxide and potassium cyanide, but at times or sometimes exceptional questions are being asked. And as how the exceptional questions are being asked, so they will choose a less less important reagent from table 10.4 and they will ask. And what will happen, you will think that this question is a bit difficult or out of the syllabus. It's not out of the syllabus. What is happening, they are just giving you question from less assessed part. Okay, so go through table 10.4 carefully, it's my suggestion. Now when we studied reactions in class 11, then you'll remember that we studied mechanism of the reaction, that means how reaction takes place. And I have told you earlier that we have a particular way for a reaction. How it happens? In first step we have reactants. The reactants mix up and gives intermediate, and these intermediates are generally very unstable, and finally they give rise to the final product. Okay, so this is basic flow chart of an organic reaction. In this way organic reaction takes place. So reactant, intermediate and final product. And I have told you that this intermediate step is the most important step. To get or to predict the final product, we must understand this intermediate step, that what is happening in the intermediate step. Okay, so we will discuss intermediate steps carefully, and we have discussed earlier also. Okay, so let's discuss the mechanism. So the substitution, nucleophilic substitution can happen in two ways. There are two possible mechanisms. Okay, in first mechanism what happens, and I will tell you why I have written substitution nucleophilic bimolecular, why I have written or why I have chosen this certain name for this mechanism. Okay, so what is happening in this mechanism, I have chosen OH. You can take nucleophile as Nu, you can choose Cn negative, whatever is your choice, you can take any nucleophile, same reaction will take place. Okay, so here I have taken hydroxyl as my nucleophile. So what will happen, the hydroxyl will approach or attack the alkyl halide from a position which is from the back side. Actually it's not exactly the back side. What nucleophile is trying to do is approaching the carbon in such a direction that halogen is at maximum distance. Okay, it is trying to avoid the resistance from the attached halogen. Okay, because what will happen, halogen is itself a negative, negative charged molecule. Okay, so what it will do, it is already electron rich, so it will try to repel the nucleophile. Okay, or try to obstruct the reaction. So what nucleophile will do, it will try to attack from the back side. Okay, so a backside will or a backside attack will occur in this mechanism. And this representation. Okay, this is a three-dimensional representation of hydrocarbons, and you know that the simple bond structures are on the plane, on this plane, that means on the paper, and dashed lines are inside the paper, away from the viewer. Okay, this is away. okay, and wedge lines or solid lines are towards the viewer. So this is the basic three-dimensional structure. And what is happening? If suppose chlorine is towards me, then nucleophile is trying from, you know, away from me, okay, from that side it is trying to attack. So what will happen? After the attack, a intermediate step will occur, okay. This is the intermediate step. This is the intermediate step and or transition state. And what happens? This process, the first step takes a lot of time, okay. This is very slow. The first step is very slow. It takes a lot of time to convert these reactants to the intermediate, okay. Now we have already discussed in chemical bonding, carbon cannot have 5 bonds. It's impossible. No period one element can have covalency more than 4. So how can carbon have covalency more than 4? It cannot have a covalency of 5. The maximum bond it can form is 5. So what will happen? This halogen will leave, okay. It will leave, leaving hydroxyl added. But you will see a particular changes, few particular changes here, and that is, if you, and we will discuss it later in detail, but I am just telling you, this is a simple observation. You will see that halogen was on this side when I started, but when I got the product, hydroxyl is on the another side. It's just the mirror image product, okay. It's just like mirror image, no, it got inverted. This structure got inverted. X, since X is here, OH is not here, it's on the opposite side, okay. Just keep it in mind, we will use it later, okay. Now this step is slow, but this step is very fast. The second step is very fast. After, once the intermediate is produced, it quickly converts to the product, since it's very unstable. Carbon cannot have 5 bond, okay. And these intermediates, I have told you earlier, we do not see these intermediates. These intermediates are theoretically predicted, and our experimental data match with our theoretical, you know, predictions. So we assume that our theoretical explanation or assumption was correct, okay. Now what we will do, we will try to figure out how fast this reaction will take place. That means I will try to figure out about the rate of this reaction, okay. So if I try to calculate the rate of this reaction, you will study in class 12 in your physical chemistry syllabus that for a reaction which take place in multiple steps, like this reaction, this reaction is taking place in multiple reaction, step 1, step 2, so it's multiple step reaction. So in multiple step reactions, the rate is determined by that step which is the slowest step, okay. And why the slowest step? Just assume that first step takes 10 minutes, okay. Since the second step is very fast, it will take suppose 0.1 second. So what is the total time? Total time is 10.1 second. So what is the value of 0.1 second if you compare with 10 minutes? It's negligible, it's nothing. So the fast part, we neglect the fast part or fast step, okay. We just consider the slowest step of the reaction. Okay, so if we consider the slowest step, then what will happen? How rate is written? For writing the rate, we take a k. This k is a rate constant, and we don't need to understand it in detail. You will understand this about this rate constant in physical chemistry in detail. For now, we just want to know what is the equation of the rate, okay. So there is a rate constant k. When I when I write hydroxyl ion in square brackets, you know you have used it in chemical equilibrium. When we write something in square brackets in chemistry, it means concentration. Okay, so I am talking about the concentration of hydroxyl ion, and this is the alkyl halide part, so concentration of the alkyl halide part. Okay, that means what this equation tells you, this equation tells you that rate of this reaction depends on concentration of hydroxyl ion and as well as the concentration of alkyl halide ion, both the molecules. The rate depends on concentration of both the molecules. Why? Because in the rate determining step or in the slow step, both the molecules are involved. Okay, since both the molecules are involved, therefore rate will depend on both the molecules. Okay, so this is our rate. Now there is a concept which we call order of a reaction. Okay, like you got order in differentiation or matrix. Okay, there are different order matrices, then we have different order of differentiation, first order differentiation, second order differentiation, and so on. Similarly, we have order of reaction in chemistry. And how the order is determined? So determination of order is very simple. Once you know the rate equation, what you do, you just add the powers to this concentration, just the powers. So what is the power in hydroxyl? 1. I have not written any square or cube anything, so it's simply there is 1, and on Rx is also 1. Okay, so if I add 1 and 1, what I will get? I will get 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, and this is the region for choosing this particular name. This is a substitution nucleophilic reaction, bimolecular or second order. Okay, that's why it is written as SN2, substitution nucleophilic second order or bimolecular reaction. Okay, and the most important thing is that the rate of the reaction is clearly telling us that whenever we will try to figure out SN2 reactions, both nucleophile and the alkyl halide, both part will play a role in determining the rate of reaction. Okay, so now we will see that like other things, like in physical property, we checked that if we change the alkyl halide or if we change the halogen, okay, if we change the halogen or if we change the structure of the alkyl part, how melting point and boiling point changes. So we will do the same thing here. Okay, we will take different type of alkyl halides, we will take different type of halogens, and we will see that which will show fast or which will show easy substitution. Okay, that is our purpose. So I will rub this off and we will move to the next part. So the next part is, you know, studying this thing in detail and trying to predict the product. Okay, so we will try to predict the product. So what is happening in this reaction? We have a halogen here, and I'm not writing it in three-dimensional way, I'm just writing it like this. Okay, and now I will compare and I will tell you that how, first thing I will tell you that how changing alkyl part will change the reaction, changing the alkyl part. Okay, we will change the alkyl part. So first I have taken in the first example, I will consider that all the attached elements are hydrogen. Okay, and I will take another example, and what I will do, I will take 3 methanes and a halogen. Okay, and I want to know that which one will show nucleophilic substitution second order easily. Okay, let's check. Now, first thing, in order to solve this problem, we have to understand that what our mechanism tells us. Our mechanism tells us that the nucleophile will attack from the back side. Okay, from the back side. Now, just consider hydrogen as a ping pong ball. Okay, it's a small in size. Okay, so I consider it as ping pong ball. Okay, since in methyl we have a carbon molecule, we have 3 hydrogen molecules, so obviously it is bulkier than hydrogen. So if it's a ping pong ball, it's nothing less than a football. Okay, now see, we have a particular way to follow in SN2 reaction. Okay, we must follow the step that nucleophile must get attack the molecule from back side. In this molecule we have empty spaces. Okay, we have empty space or we have gaps from where nucleophile can attack this carbon, but here we don't have that space. Methyl groups, bulkier methyl groups are doing what? They are blocking the way for nucleophile to enter. Okay, it will restrict the nucleophile to access this carbon. They will block. Okay, so obviously for this molecule we will have a slower rate, or maybe sometimes the reaction will not occur only from. If we change the conditions, we take some intense conditions, we will see that even the reaction will not take place in 3-degree carbons. Okay, so it's quite clear that our 1-degree carbon will have a faster rate when we talk about SN2 reactions. Why? Okay, because of the small substituent groups. Okay, it's easy for nucleophile to attack in 1-degree carbon, and it's very difficult in 2-degree carbons. So like free radical reaction, we will get a order here, and the order will be 1-degree carbon will have the fastest rate, 2-degree will have the rate less than 1 degree, and 3-degree carbons will have the slowest rate for SN2 reactions. Okay, very easy. If you just keep this thing in mind, you will be able to solve the answers. Okay, now let's change halogen part. Let's change the halogen part. Okay, so actually halogen part is a bit easy, this part is easy. What we are doing, we are trying to change this X. Then that means what will happen if I take fluorine, what will take if I take iodine, and so on. So this part is very easy to answer. What will happen? See, if we have fluorine, then we'll have a CF bond, CCl bond, CBr bond, and CI bond. Isn't it? These are the 4 bonds. Now just go to the chemical bonding concept. Okay, and now you will understand that why I was stressing you in class 11 to study hard. I told you, I suggested you, all of you, that you will use class 11 concepts again and again and again in class 12. Now you are seeing that we are using 11 concepts. So we know from chemical bonding that as bond length increases, bond strength decreases. That means out of these 4, the bond which is larger will be easier to break. Since iodine molecule is the largest or the biggest atom here, so this is the largest atom, so it is easier to break. And if a bond is easier to break, it will leave easily. That means it will give the reaction product easily. So if we change the halogen, it is quite easy to understand that fluorine will have the slowest rate, then chlorine, then bromine, and we will have fastest rate for the iodine molecules. Okay, now For the SN2 reactions, we have discussed two prime important parts, that is the effect of changing the alkyl part and effect of changing the halogen part. But there are some other factors also, like temperature, pressure, and the solvent. Okay, like I told you, KOH aqueous. What does that mean? What is mean by aqueous solution? That means KOH is dissolved in water. But I can take a alcoholic solution. I can take KOH in alcohol also, not in water. Then what will happen? What will happen if I take solvent from water to alcohol, or water to suppose carbon disulfide, carbon tetrachloride? So we will discuss the effect of temperature, pressure, and solvents in a separate video. Okay. So for this video lecture, we will conclude to SN2 mechanism. In the next video, in the continuation video, we will discuss another substitution nucleophilic mechanism, and that is SN1 mechanism. Okay, in detail, plus the other factors related to this mechanism. Okay.